Good morning everyone. Today we are going to discuss about another topic in hematology, organization and administration of the blood bank. Under this topic we are going to see what is blood bank, what are the different functions of blood bank. In the blood bank, how do they preserve the blood, how long you can store the blood, and what they do after the storing period. These are the different topics what we are going to discuss in today's class. First of all, we will see what is blood bank. Blood bank is a center. Okay, it's a center where the blood is collected and it will be preserved in a very accurate way. The blood will be preserved for later use. What is the later use of the blood? When people are in need of blood for the transfusion purpose. What is transfusion? The introducing the blood from a donor to the recipient is called as the transfusion. Okay, transfusion doesn't mean that from me the blood will be taken and it will be given to one of you. It is not like that. Before transfusing the blood from one individual to the other individual, there are so many criteria that we need to check. Because already in the previous classes I told you about the consequences of the incompatibility. If my blood group and the recipient to whom I am giving the blood, if there is no matching, complications can happen and that can lead to the death of the recipient also. So before doing the blood transfusion, we need to check so many criteria are there. The purity of the blood, whether the blood is contaminated with some of the infection, whether the blood is having some of the antibodies. There are various tests are there which has to be conducted before doing the transfusion. So in earlier days in movies and all, you must have seen that the hero will be lying on one bed, the other person who is giving blood on the other bed, and the blood will be moving like this. It is not like that. Okay, blood transfusion means in hospital also sometimes you will be getting a call that when somebody is in need of the blood, you will go there and give the blood. Don't think that your blood will be immediately taken and transfused to the patient. Your blood will be preserved in the blood bank. Instead of that blood, they will give the blood to the patient. Okay, so it will be done like that, because before doing the transfusion, as I told you, they will be doing different tests to ensure that this particular blood will not cause any harm to the recipient. Clear? So what is blood bank? Blood bank is an organization where the blood is collected and it will be stored in an accurate way for a longer time. There is a time period in which you can store the blood. So the blood will be collected, stored and preserved for later use in blood transfusion. Usually the blood bank that will be associated with the hospital. In almost all the hospital, well-known reputed hospitals and all, they will be having a blood bank. So whenever the patients are in need of the blood, they can go to the blood bank and they can give a request there through the doctor. Doctor will be giving a request in a prescription sheet. They have to go to that blood bank with the prescription sheet and give it to them. They will look for the blood. If it is there, it will be given to the patient. So one packet of the blood, which will have a particular amount of blood will be there, which I will be telling you. Okay, that much amount of the blood, nearly around 500 ml of the blood, including the anticoagulant, somewhere around 500 some amount of blood will be there. That much amount of the blood, that much volume of the blood. In private blood banks, usually they will charge somewhere around 1,400 rupees. But in government organization, the amount, the rate of the blood will be little less. And some of the organizations are there wherein they will not be collecting any money from the patient. Okay, so there are various types of blood banks are there. Government blood banks are there and non-government blood banks are there. Depends on the blood bank. They have different norms are there. Depends on the norm, they will be charging from the patient or the relative of the patient. So if you understood what is blood bank, now we are going to see what do they do in the blood bank, or what is the need of having a blood bank. In the blood bank, the first thing is they will select the donor. Okay, selecting the donor is a very important criteria in the blood bank, because the donor from whom the blood is taken, that matters a lot, because we have to check whether they had any other infection in the previous few years back, or whether they have some diseases, and their medical history, everything we need to have an idea. And only healthy individuals can give the blood. So that is the main criteria about blood donation. In your college also, many times the blood donation thing happened, and some of you have donated the blood also. But when you go for the blood donation camp, they will be asking you to fill up a application form, and many questions will be asked. You need to give a proper correct answer, because the whatever questions they ask during the blood donation process, that is very much required for the maintenance of the blood, and for the before the transfusion, the blood bank should have a detailed account about the donor from which the blood has been collected. So selection of the donor, they do the selection of the donor, they check the donor and confirm that they are healthy individuals, and then they go for the collection. The blood will be collected in a pouch. Okay, you must have seen that pouch, the plastic PVC pouches are there. In that the blood will be collected, and then after collecting it will be processed and test will be conducted. The processing means the pouch where they collect the blood, it will have the anticoagulant, and you know the function of the anticoagulant. If you keep the blood without the anticoagulant for a longer time, the blood will undergo coagulation. If it is undergoing coagulation, you cannot use it for the transfusion process. So you have to make sure that the blood will not be undergoing coagulation. For that purpose, anticoagulant will be added. That is what is coming under the processing. And after taking the blood, it will be mixed properly. Usually in a rocker they will keep it so that the anticoagulant and the blood will get mixed up properly. And after the processing, they do the testing. Now, what are the different tests which they conduct in the blood bank? Number one, they will do the typing. Blood typing, you know what is blood typing. They will check what is the blood group. So before giving the blood itself, they will check it. And after collecting the blood also, once again they will check the blood for the blood group, because there should not be any confusion in the blood group. If any confusions are there, that can lead to the complications of the blood transfusion. To avoid that, before taking the blood from the donor, the blood test will be done. Main thing is they will check the blood type. Okay, so blood typing, two different types of blood typing will be done. One is ABO blood typing, wherein they will get to know whether the blood group is A, B, AB or O, and also they will do RH typing. What is RH typing? Wherein you will get to know whether the blood is RH positive or RH negative. So once after doing the ABO blood typing and RH blood typing, they will have a very good idea about the type of the blood. They will compare the result what they have done after collecting the blood with the test which you have conducted before giving the blood. So the result will be compared, and the blood group of that particular individual will be written on the label which is stuck to the pouch where they have collected the blood. So on the blood bag where they collect the blood, on top of that there is a label. The date on which it was collected, the blood group of the individual, all those details will be written on the label. And then after that, the screening of antibody will be done. Right? So once after collecting the blood, you know that after collecting the blood will be collected through a tube. So once after collecting it, immediately they will transfer little blood into a test tube, and that amount of the blood, little blood, that will be used for doing all these tests. So they do the screening of antibody to find out whether any antibodies are there in that particular blood which can harm the recipient. So they screen for different types of antibodies which are there in the blood. If any antibodies particular to some infection, if that is there, that also can be identified by the screening test. And next one is screening for current and previous infection. So while giving the blood itself, before donating the blood itself, they will be asking you many questions, and depends on that they do the test and find out whether any contaminants is there, any pathogenic organism or any other antibodies or antigens are there in the blood. That will be checked. That is coming under the screening for current and the previous infection. Some of the previous infections such as hepatitis C virus infection and all, this hepatitis C virus will be there in the latent stage in the body, in the cell itself, within the body it will be there in the latent stage. Some of the viruses will be in the latent stage. That also can be checked with the help of the screening technique. So these are the different tests which is done. What are those tests? One is blood typing. What are the two types of blood typing? ABO blood typing and the RH blood typing. Screening for antibody and the screening for the current and the previous infections. Now, when you are selecting the donor, as I told you in the beginning, selecting the donor is a very important criteria. The donor, usually the blood donation will be volunteer one. You cannot compel anybody to give blood. So voluntarily people will come and give the blood. Nowadays many people are there voluntarily, they will be giving the blood, and people are ready to help others, those who are in trouble. For them, they are ready to give the blood. So in college also, when we conducted that blood donation camp, we have seen that many students were there to give the blood. So all the students, youngsters, all are ready to give the blood. So nowadays there is no problem with the donors. Earlier days it was very difficult to find the donors, and there are many WhatsApp groups are there, and Facebook also. In all the public forums there are some of the groups who will be helping out patient to find out the donor. For the correct donor, immediately you will get contacts from different organizations who are ready to give the extend their helping hand. The volunteer, the donor, healthy volunteers, usually they will be taken, and they should be healthy. It's very, very important aspect. They have to be very healthy. Second one, those who are underweight, they can never give the blood. Meaning, if the weight of the body is less than 50 kg, they cannot give the blood. So weight of an individual who are going to donate the blood, the weight should be 50 kg minimum. So many of you cannot give the blood, I think. Some of you are less than 50 kg. And the age, it should be between 18 to 65 years, and the interval in which you can give the blood is 16 weeks. So after 16 weeks of time period, you can give the blood. Usually, it will after 3 months of time period, they say after 3 months of time period, you can go for the second donation. Fine. Now, while selecting the donor, usually they avoid donation from pregnant women, lactating women, okay, new mother, pregnant ladies, cancer patients, diabetes patient, heart patients, and those who are allergic. From them, usually they don't collect the blood. So allergic patient, if they collect the blood and transfuse into another individual, even that person, there is a chance of getting the allergy, because the blood will have many number of eosinophils and basophils, and there is a chance that even the recipient will get the infection. So any infection, if it is there, they are not supposed to give the blood. So who all are exempted from the blood donation? Pregnant women, lactating women, cancer patients, diabetes patient, heart patients, and those who are allergic, and the anemia patients and all, they cannot give. When they go for preliminary test itself, they will be rejected because their hemoglobin level will be very less. Fine. Now, test done before the transfusion. So before going for the transfusion, they do some of the test. Okay, once after collecting the blood, one more test we have to include here. The test which is done before collecting the blood. This will come here. That is hemoglobin estimation. So how do they estimate the hemoglobin? And while discussing about the hemoglobin also, I told you that they will keep a copper sulfate solution of a particular specific gravity. It will be there with the doctor. When you go for the blood donation as a donor, they will prick your finger, take one drop of the blood, and they put it in the copper sulfate solution. When you put it in the copper sulfate solution, depends on the density, they will decide whether you can donate the blood. Okay, so if it goes down, if the drop of the blood, if it goes down that particular container, in glass container, they prepare the copper sulfate solution and keep it. They put a drop of blood from your finger, and if that drop of the blood, if it goes down, that means your hemoglobin level is proper. If it is floating up, when you put the drop of blood, if it is just floating on the top, that means your hemoglobin content is very less and you cannot give the blood. And so that is the test which is done in the case of donors. The other test which is done before transfusion is, they do compatibility test. Second one is anti-human globulin test, and cross matching. These are the three tests which are done before doing the transfusion, so that any complications that can happen after the transfusion, that can be avoided by doing this test. Already we discussed about all these tests: compatibility, cross matching, and the anti-human globulin test. Now, what is the volume of the blood taken? So usually when they ask for blood donation, when they say, are you interested in giving the blood, they say, no, I don't have blood. you should not worry about that, because only 450 ml of the blood will be taken from your body, and you know that the blood formation will be happening every time, and within 1 or 2 days the blood will be formed. Whatever blood is taken out, that will be formed. 450 ml of the blood will be taken, and which will be mixed with the 63 ml of anticoagulant. And about the anticoagulant, I will be teaching you in detail in blood transfusion. But remember that anticoagulant which is used in that blood bag, the bag in which the blood is collected, that is not your heparin or EDTA. Forget about that. When you are talking about the blood transfusion and the blood bank, forget about EDTA and heparin, because you cannot use those two as anticoagulant in the case of blood collection bag. So in the blood collection bag, we will be using CPDA. Okay, CPDA stands for citrate phosphate dextrose adenine. What is CPDA? Citrate phosphate dextrose adenine. That is the anticoagulant which is very much required for maintaining the RBC. Otherwise, if the RBC is not maintained properly, and if you are using any other anticoagulant, there is a chance of hemolysis. That we can overcome by using CPDA. What is CPDA? Citrate phosphate dextrose adenine. The composition of the CPDA is citric acid is 3.27 gram, sodium citrate is 23.6 gram, and glucose or dextrose you can use 25.5 gram, and the disodium hydrogen phosphate is 2.2 gram. This is the preparation of, this is for 100 ml. This is the preparation of CPDA. So this particular anticoagulant will be used along with the blood. Now, how do they preserve the blood? The blood will be preserved if it is whole blood. Remember that every time you need not go for the entire blood transfusion. Depends on the need. Say for example, some people will have anemia. In them, they need only the RBC. They may not be requiring your platelets or WBC. In that case, instead of transfusing the entire blood, the components of the blood will be separated. What are the main components of the blood? Blood cells and plasma. What are the different types of blood cells? RBC, WBC and the platelet. RBC, platelet and WBCs can be separated into individual components by a process called as apheresis. Apheresis is the process by which you can separate the component of the blood. What is that process? Apheresis. Okay, so individual component blood can be divided into individual component by apheresis process. So no need of going for the entire whole blood transfusion. Instead of that, you can go for the blood component therapy. That is also there in the syllabus, which we'll be discussing in the coming classes. Okay, so the whole blood, after collecting the whole blood in that bag with the 63 ml of CPDA, what is the volume of the blood taken? 450 ml. The whole blood can be stored at 2 to 6 degrees centigrade for 42 days. So the maximum time you can store the blood is 42 days if you are keeping the bag 2 to 6 degrees centigrade. Remember, 2 to 6 degrees centigrade you can keep it for 42 days. In the frozen stage, you can keep it for 10 years, but sometimes when you are keeping in the frozen stage, the RBCs will undergo lysis. So that's the drawback of frozen one. Usually, this is the one which they follow. It is 2 to 6 degrees centigrade for 42 days. Now, what do they do after 42 days of time period? So many blood people are giving. There are 36,000 blood donors are there every month. That many donors are there, and so much of blood will be collected. And if that blood is not used, what do they do? I have written here. Disposal of the expired blood. After 42 days of time period, they take the pouch which is having the blood, put it into another pouch which is leak proof, and put it for the disinfection. Either they add some of the chemical to disinfect it, or they autoclave it. Okay. After autoclaving only, you are supposed to discard it. Discarding in the sense, they will not be putting into the drain. You are not supposed to put the blood into the drain, because blood is, after autoclaving also, the clump of the blood, that will act as a major source for the bacterial growth and other pathogenic organism growth. So once after the autoclaving, usually they will be discarding in the dump yard, where the medical waste will be dumped. In that area they will discard, or it will be discarded by using some of the chemicals, so that it will not harm the environment. Fine. So disinfection will be done, autoclaving, and then discarding the blood by following the medical protocols. And from the blood bank, once the one pouch of the blood is issued, it should be transfused within 30 minutes of time period. You cannot, after taking out from that particular temperature, you are not supposed to keep the blood out for more than half an hour. If you are keeping for more than half an hour, hemolysis happens. So after hemolysis, if hemolysis has happened, you cannot use that blood for the transfusion. As I told you, if people don't need any of the blood cells, RBC, WBCs and platelet, instead of that, if they have problem with their plasma, what is there in the plasma? Plasma will have some of the clotting factor. Imagine that there is a hemophilia patient. He need clotting factors for the clotting process to happen, but he don't want all those RBC, WBC and platelet which is there in the blood. So they can go for a process called as the plasmapheresis. Apheresis is the process which will separate the component into individual parts. Plasmapheresis can be done, and plasma will be separated, which will have all the proteins and clotting factor, and that will be frozen, and that is called as the FFP. FFP stands for fresh frozen plasma. This can be stored at -40 degrees centigrade for 1 year. Fresh frozen plasma, once after the separation of the plasma, this can be kept at -40 degrees centigrade. Remember the temperature, -40 degrees centigrade for 1 year. Okay, so now the fresh frozen plasma, that should be prepared within 6 to 8 hours after the blood collection. After that, you cannot separate it, or when you are separating also, you will not be getting a plasma with the all the sufficient amount of protein. So fresh frozen plasma preparation should be done within 6 to 8 hours, and after the preparation, it should be kept at -40 degrees centigrade for 1 year. You can keep it for 1 year. And before doing the transfusion into the patient, whether it is at 2 to 6 degrees centigrade or -40 degrees centigrade, thawing is required. You know what is thawing, right? Last semester I taught you. Thawing is the process wherein the low temperature components, we have to bring them back into the room temperature. 37 degrees centigrade we need to maintain, and then only you can go for the transfusion. This is a very important point to remember, thawing of the blood. And if you are separating the platelets can be stored for 5 days at 22 degrees centigrade. 22, remember, not -22, 22 degrees centigrade. You can keep the platelet for 5 days. For fresh frozen plasma, -40 degrees centigrade for 1 year, and whole blood you can preserve at 2 to 6 degrees centigrade for 42 days. And what is there in the blood bag? The bag, you must have seen the bag, no? The bag, and then tube will be there. Tube will be connected to a syringe, and the syringe will be inserted into the vein, and blood will be collected. And the important components of the blood bank are the PVC, high molecular weight PVC is used for making the bag. Tubing will be there along with the PVC bag, and the label will be stuck to the bag, wherein they will write the donor's name, age, blood group, all those details will be written on the label. The date in which they are collecting the blood, all those details will be there on the label. And outlet pouch, if you must have seen the bag is like this. Okay, this kind of bag. So here an outlet will be there. The outlet is connected to the tube. So in the outlet, so this is very important region, because that is the region through which contaminants can enter. Outlet pouch, that region is called as the outlet pouch, and needle will be connected. The outlet pouch, once you remove the tube, the outlet pouch is designed in such a way that you can close it tightly, so that contaminants will not be entering into the blood. And if you store the blood for a longer time, lesions can be seen, or variations can be seen on the RBC or on the blood, in the blood. You can see there will be decrease in the pH, decrease in the glucose concentration can be seen, decrease in ATP, and decrease in 2,3-diphosphoglycerate. All these things can be seen if you keep the blood for a longer time. Now, so these are the basic aspects about the blood bank. These are the different things what they do in the blood bank. blood bank, they select the donor, collect it, process it, test it, preserve it, and then they dispense it. Once they dispense it, within 30 minutes you have to use it. Instead of going for the whole blood, you can separate the components and then you go for the blood component therapy. And about the blood bank we discussed, and lesions or deviations that will be seen in the blood, which we'll be discussing again under blood transfusion process. And remember that just like that, you cannot go to the clinic and ask for blood. No, you cannot ask the doctor, I need blood transfusion, I'm feeling very weak, you just give me blood. That is not possible, because without the loss of the blood, if you go for transfusion, many complications can be seen, and even heart failure will be there, because iron overload will be there. Without the loss of the blood, if you take the blood, iron overload can be seen, and that can lead to death of the individual. So whenever, because of surgery or because of some internal bleeding or external bleeding, or if people suffer with anemia, or after chemotherapy when the blood cell count is very less, usually people go for the transfusion. Any other hematological disorders also, they will be going for blood transfusion. Without any loss in the blood, you are not supposed to go for the blood transfusion. That you need to remember. Now, in the blood bank, when you go for that's all about the different aspects about the blood donation. Now, I will tell you what are the different things they do during the blood donation camp. Or when you go, all the blood banks, they will arrange blood donation camps. So when you go for the blood donation camp, the first thing is you are going as a donor. So as soon as you reach there, they will give you a registration form. You must have seen. They give a registration form, and you are not supposed to give any of the fake details. You are supposed to give all the proper details in a proper way. So in that one, you have to registration form. In that, you need to write all your personal details. What do you mean by personal details? Your name, your age, weight, all those personal details you need to write. And along with the personal detail, you need to give them the medical history. Medical history in the sense whether you are having some current infection, or you are recovered from any of the pathogenic infection. All those details you need to give. So you have to fill up all those details in the registration form. So you imagine that you are going as a donor in a blood donation camp. They will give you a registration form. You need to fill it up, and then after filling it up, the donor counseling process will happen. So the doctor will be there, and you have to sit there, and the doctor will ask you some of the questions, and those questions answers will also be written on the registration form. So once after filling the form, what is the next thing? The donor counseling. So you have to go for the donor counseling, wherein the doctor will be doing some of the basic things. One is blood grouping will be done. The doctor will only take little blood, check the blood group, and then they will check the HB content. Hemoglobin content will be checked. 12.5 gram, that much hemoglobin should be there. If it is less than that, you cannot give the blood. So depends on the specific gravity, or depends on the specific gravity experiment. They will decide whether you can give the blood. So HB content will be checked. They will check the weight. A very dangerous weight will be checked, and everybody will get to know your weight. Then they will check the BP. Okay, blood pressure will be checked. They check the pulse, and also they will check the temperature. So these many details will be checked by the doctor who is accompanying that blood donation camp people. Blood group of the individual or the donor, HB content, weight, blood pressure, pulse, and the temperature. So these many things will be checked. And after that, if the after checking all these criteria, two chances are there. Either the donor is accepted. If everything is fine, the donor will be accepted. If any variation is there, the donor will be rejected. So if he is rejected, he has to go back. If he is accepted, he will be taken to another room, okay, where the blood donation will be done, or you can give the blood. So if the donor is accepted, donor profile will be entered in a book, and then the donor's blood collection process will be done, and the donor will be made to lie down on a comfortable position in either in a chair, comfortable chair, or the bed. They will make you lie down, and then they collect the blood. And After collecting the blood, 450 ml of the blood will be collected, and after collecting the blood, so if it is accepted, what is the next step? They collect the blood. So while collecting the blood, they will make you comfortable and they collect the blood. After collecting the blood, you are supposed to lie down for 5 minutes. Minimum 5 minutes of time period you need to lie down on the bed. Because suddenly if you get up like a hero if you get up from the bed, there is a chance of fainting. So to avoid that, you have to lie down on the bed for some time. And after 5 minutes of time period, this is for 5 minutes of time period, you are not supposed to sleep there. After 5 minutes, you need to get up and they will take you to post-transfusion area. Okay, so this is the main interesting part in blood donation. When you go to the post-transfusion area, they will give you refreshment. 1 packet of juice and some fruit, some food items will be given. Because you have donated the blood, thereby the blood donation camp people will give you refreshment, 1 tetra pack of juice and banana or any other junk food will be given, so that you can have it happily. You can have it and then sit for a while. They will give you the bandage also from where they have taken the blood. That area is known as the phlebotomy area. I told you already, the art of taking the blood, that is done by a group of people called as phlebotomist. You cannot call them as lab technician. The person who collect the blood, they are well versed in that, or they are expert in that. They are called as the phlebotomist. The process is called as phlebotomy. The phlebotomy area, the phlebotomized area, they will put a bandage so that any other infection cannot happen. They protect the venipunctured area by putting a bandage. And then a feedback form will be given, and later they will tell you the importance of the blood donation, and they will tell you that you can give the blood frequently so that you can save the life. And if you are willing, you can register and you can be a permanent blood donor, so that whenever they need blood, they will call you. And also some of the blood bank, most of the blood bank people, they will be giving you certificate. Okay, certificate as a proof that you have given the blood. So that's all about the administration of the blood bank. In the next class, we will discuss about the blood transfusion process, the complications associated with the blood transfusion, why people go for blood transfusion. All those things we'll discuss in the coming classes. Okay, thank you.